If you simply try to apply Puppet Warp, it kind of deforms the body. Also at the same time, just by applying Puppet Warp, have a look at it. Here is the before and here is the after. It cuts up these areas. The masking was fine. Why is it happening? Separate the subject from the background. And how do we do that? Just make 2 copies of the background layer. With the background layer selected, press Ctrl or Command J twice. The first one is for just the subject. This is where the subject will be masked out. And the second one is just subject layer and select the subject. And how do we do that? You can use any of your favorite selection techniques. I'm just going to select the quick selection or the object selection tool, any one of those. And at the top, you will see select subject. Click on that and it does a pretty much fantastic selection of the subject, but it left out that area. No worries, just simply add that, not an issue. Now you can work with the selection later, that's all up to you. This is not a select. You can click on the mask button. Now the subject is masked. Also at the same time, we want to remove the subject on just the background layer where we want just the background. For convenience, let's name it this way, masked. Also at the same time, we want to remove the subject on just the background layer where we want just the background. For convenience, let's name it this way. Now, to activate the selection of the subject, hold the Ctrl or Command and click on the mask. We already have it. We know what we have to remove. But if we remove that, it's going to leave out these areas because this selection is not fully selecting the subject. Modify and expand. By the way, with the later versions of Photoshop, you have the delete and fill feature, but that's not very trustable. This expansion method just kind of works all the time. So let's expand it to about 50 pixels right here. Hit OK. Make sure all of the hair, everything of the subject is just covered. Right here, as you can see, it is not completely covered. So you can use the lasso tool, just add it, hold the Shift key to turn it into a plus and add it just like this. Now, how do we fill it? You can fill it with Content Aware Fill. Up to you. Let's go to Edit, Content Aware Fill, and you can sample the areas that you want to fill it using. So you can try rotation, adaptation, see how that works out for you. And you can try all kinds of different things. If you're satisfied, you can just output to a new layer. So the filled area can be outputted to a new layer, if that's a word, or the current layer. For convenience, let us just go ahead and choose current layer. Hit OK. You can turn off the subject. As you can see, that is separated. It has left a little bit of trace. So how can we fix that? Simply use the patch tool right here and you can fix all of it. It's not big of a deal, as you can tell. And you can take the time to do the whole shebang, shenanigan, whatever you want to call it right here. So let's remove this line as well. Now, I know we are nitpicking, and that is a must. If you're doing something in Photoshop, it is important to take care of every little detail because, you know, there's going to be somebody who is an expert Photoshop user that's going to be looking at your work anyway. So now let's go ahead and turn on the subject. So how do we move it? If you resize it, you're going to lose details. So the other option is just convert it into a smart object. Right click on it and then choose Convert to Smart Object and it's done. Now we are ready to apply Puppet Warp. By the way, you can always double click on it and change the masking, bring back the hair, and then Puppet Warp. If you're not seeing anything, you can just turn on Show Mesh to see all of that. Now, plugin, all you have to do is to go to Plugins, Piximperfect Compositing, and open that. By the way, this is Adobe approved. Now inside of it, you can make a copy of the background layer first, and then hold the Alt key or the Option key, and in the masking section, click on Remove Subject. And it does automatically everything for you in the background, whatever we did. So right here, as you can tell, the subject is removed. Of course, you need to clean that. Everything related to compositing is in the panel as simple buttons and functions. So even converting to Smart Object for the repetition, Puppet Warp. Now, before even doing anything, if you take a closer look, you would notice that as soon as we apply it, we have not done anything right here. If we apply it, the nose is cut off. So how do we prevent it? By the way, since this is a smart object, you can always go back to Puppet Warp and change it later. Double click on Puppet Warp. And now you can do one of two things. You can increase the density. Right now it is normal. You can increase it to more points so that you have more precise control. Another thing you can do is have a look. Still there are areas which are being cut. So you can expand it. So just increase the expansion. So right now I'm going to set it at about 6 And there you go. It is expanded a bit, so you can do it with your images, see what works for you. All right. So for safety, I'm just going to set it at now, of course, with these kind of adjustments, you don't really need to see the mesh. So you can turn it off by checking it off or pressing the shortcut Control or Command H. There you go. Now create points along the joints of the body. Now try to create as little points as possible. For now, you can increase it later as you move and as you need it. So the first thing I want to move is the leg right here. So we're going to create a point at this joint and one more point at this joint. Also, to make it secure, you can create a point at this joint and right here as well. Also, just to hold it in place, one more point right here. Now, usually our common sense would tell us to create a point right here and move it. And this is what creates deformities. And then to fix this deformity, we create another point right here and kind of try to align that. Instead of doing all that, there's a feature that's going to help you. So let's delete these points. All you have to do is to select the point from where you want to rotate the leg, hold the Alt key or the Option key, and just rotate it from here. And as we do, the whole body kind of moves naturally. So we're going to keep it this way. And from here, let's select the point first and then hold the Alt key or the Option key. And don't click on the point. That will delete the point. Instead, just hold the Alt key or the Option key and from the outside, simply rotate it. Now, if you want, you can of course create an additional point right here and move things here and there just a little bit according to your wish. But this is how you rotate stuff. You can move the head a little bit backward, but for it, let's adjust her position so that it is balanced. And you can create more rotations from here, just like this. Now we see the rhythm right here. If you want to move the hand as well, let's create a point. And again, hold the Alt key or the Option key, and then you can move it as much as you like. From here as well, create a point, and you can move it to your liking. And there you go. If you want to take a look at the before and after, you can turn off the Puppet Warp Smart filter. Here's the before, here's the after. You see much more balance. Now, I'm not claiming that my movement is better than the original one. The feet is getting cut off right there. No worries. Press Control or Command T and we can move her a little bit to the left. There you go. Fixed. And that is another advantage of having the background and the subject separated. So you can move it anywhere. You can even expand it. So press C. And you can choose whatever aspect ratio you want. You can also do it freehand. And let's expand it. I always wanted to do it in 16:9 aspect ratio. And you can either stretch it, you can content-aware fill it. It's all up to you. It even looks good stretched. And if you see the stretch marks right here, you can also change body position in Photoshop. Let us do a quick little recap. So do not forget that some